All right, great. So let's get into it today. Let's keep it sharpy and straight to the point. Just in case you're coming here for the first time, my name is Ola, and I come here, like I said, every time, and we upload at least one video per day. So you want to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button if I say anything that makes sense to you. And if you just want to skip through all of that, you can just go ahead and hit the like button right now. You want to hit it just once throughout the session. The truth is that this is sort of kind of like a training platform. I do add some news elements to it just to make sure that I'm giving you enough examples to make sense of everything that's going on. So, for example, we're talking about wholesale real estate, right? What is wholesale real estate? Well, we cannot talk about wholesale real estate without talking about investing in real estate. So, everyone, the moms, the pops knows that real estate is essentially a lucrative business, right? Real estate is essentially the buying and selling of houses. You know, what we consider shelter over our head. As human beings, we keep a roof over our head, right? So, no, that's real estate for you right there. But as an industry, yes, the buying and selling of houses is what we consider real estate. In some parts of the world, they call this estate. In some parts, they call it properties. Once you say properties, they know what we're talking about, right? So, because it's extremely lucrative, because basically one expense that every man, maybe woman too, right, that has to incur every single month is the housing expense, right? Either you're paying rent or you're paying some kind of a lease, or you're actually buying a property outright, or you're paying mortgages because you finance the purchase of a property. Either way, you're contributing, or you donate money as a teenager to your parents to help pay the bills. Either way, you're contributing to the industry we call real estate. Okay, so it's a huge industry that's connected to the whole economy as a whole. If anything happens to real estate, the economy will go bad. If anything happens to the economy, it will have effect on real estate as well. So it's just something that you have to pay attention to. So what is wholesale real estate? Wholesale real estate is essentially it's an opportunity for you to be able to find deals for real estate investors, right? So real estate investors, what they do is they buy low and they sell high. They find really good deals, meaning a property that's worth a lot more. They find a good deal, meaning they're able to pay a lot less than what it's worth. And then sometimes they put in some work. For the most part, the house needs work. That's why it's being sold cheaply, right? So let's say it needs about $30,000 worth of work. So because of that, the owner is not able to list the property on the market, on the multiple listing services, MLS, right? With an agent, because the house needs work. It doesn't fit on the market. Maybe you get the point. Like, it's hard to sell the house because it needs significant amount of work. And then the majority of the work is cosmetic, meaning, new paintings, carpet, maybe upgraded HVAC, heating system, cooling system, stuff like that, right? Because the house needs work that an investor will consider not a big deal, but the homeowner, they're not in the business of real estate. It's a big deal for them. They don't have $30,000-$40,000 laying around to put the house, to fix the house and then put it on the market to command what the house is actually worth. So now let's talk about what the house is worth. The house is worth what the market says, not if it needs work or not, right? But again, visual is a real thing. If a house visually looks like it's run down, like it needs work, a lot of people will avoid that house and go to the next house, right? So that is still a big deal. But ultimately, real estate is about location. The location is the majority of the value that the real estate carries, right? So now, as real estate investors, we understand that. Now, you as a potential wholesaler, hopefully, right? You understand that. You understand that because it needs cosmetic work, it looks dirty on the outside, doesn't mean that the property is still not worth a significant amount of money. So let's say the property is completely fixed up after repair value of the property. Let's say it's $400,000, right? So in this case, it's $400,000, but because it needs work, the majority of the offers that are coming in at 320, 310, or maybe worse, maybe 120, right? It needs work. So to the buyers, it's like, no, I'm not going to deal with that, even though it's literally going to cost $30,000 to fix this house and make it worth $400,000 instantly. So ideally, based off of logic, you shouldn't need to pay, you shouldn't need to sell it for less than $370,000, give or take $350,000, because it needs $30,000 of work. Because after you spend $30,000 on it, it's supposedly worth $400,000. Why? Because the house next door sold for $400,000. The next one door sold for $410,000. The other one sold for $420,000. Another one sold for $390,000. So we kind of know that this location is hot and is worth $400,000. But the house needs work. But the homeowners don't realize that their property is worth what it's worth. You see what I'm saying? So we know that, right? But even if they know, sometimes life events just put them in a position where they're not able to pay that $30,000. Sometimes it's a second home. Sometimes it's not a second home. Sometimes it's they're a landlord. They live far away and they don't want the headache from the tenants and stuff like that anymore, right? So you realize that and you're saying, you know, I don't have the cash to buy properties. I don't have that kind of cash laying around, but I can find deals. I can set up a marketing campaign to people that potentially would not want a piece of property anymore. Foreclosures, divorce situations, tax delinquency, the house is vacant, it's on the vacant list with the post office, right? Meaning the house is not producing for the owner. And you send out a marketing campaign to them either by text message, postcard, maybe voice notes, whatever. You put out a cold call to them and you say, hey, are you open to selling the property? I saw that property on the street on 123 Main Street. Are you open to selling it? And then they go, what's the offer? I'll consider an offer. Why? Because the house is just sitting there, right? But we know that the property is worth a lot more than what they think, or what is or the actual present performance of the property, right? We know that. We know these things, right? So because of that, you know that, and you're able to say, you know what, I'll give you an offer. So we have a formula for that. But anyway, the point is that you finding such deals for cash buyer investors who actually have the cash to buy this property, when they take over, you lock it under contract. Meaning you found somebody who said, yes, I just want to get rid of it. I'll sell it to you for $150,000. Property is worth $400,000 after repair, right? But they want to sell it to you for $150,000 because it needs $30,000 worth of work. So if you purchase, let's say you're able to purchase this property, you purchase for $150,000, and then you had another $30,000 on top of that, right? That's $180,000. You're in $180,000, and you turn around and list that house on the market with an agent. Agents, listen carefully, you do benefit from this, right? And then they sell the property for $400,000, and now your gross profit is literally, what did I say? $180,000. Like your cost is up to $180,000, right? $200,000 profit just because you were willing to find a property that needs work. Okay, you know what? Remember that you couldn't really purchase the property, but you found the deal for an investor who will purchase the property, right? Okay, so you wanted to charge, since you found the deal at $150,000, the property is going to need $30,000 of work, right? So that's $180,000. You decided that, you know what? I'm going to give this to an investor who has the cash to execute on this purchase contract, something that